Am I the a-hole for refusing to give significant other my savings to pay off the loan? Background. I, 34 female, have known my husband, 33 male, for 15 years, married for 6 years. I met his family too, 3 times only before marriage. He has an older brother, 36 male, let's call him G, and younger sister, 27 female, P. In his family, each and every decision is either made by G or P. They are classic spoiled people who will listen to no one, my way or the highway kind of situation. When I married, I tried very hard for them to accept me, but nothing mattered. I was never their family, so I stopped. My significant other's thinking was to do everything to make peace. I was financially stable in the first year of marriage. I had a miscarriage which left me and my significant other heartbroken. I left my job for a year, and during that time I got pregnant with my son. Everything was not great, but we put distance between them and us. We live 3 hours away from them. Now I'm working from home, and we have a stable income. Now the problem started last year in March when we decided to buy a house in the city which we live in. I asked my significant other to not tell anyone about this as I knew something would happen. He told G a week later. He tells me that G and P decided, and now both him and G are buying 2 big family homes in their hometown next to each other, so our plan to buy a house here was not possible. We argued about it, but it never went anywhere, so I went very low contact and needed to know the basis after his betrayal. They bought it in May 2020. I was informed via text after they bought it. I was the only one in the family who didn't know about this. Now G's land and his house are in his and his wife's name, but significant others' land and house are in his and my father-in-law's name. They both took a loan for this. My father-in-law is helping to pay the loan for G, and he doesn't have a stable income. Father-in-law's generous offer was not applicable for my significant other because, according to him, he has lost the privilege when he moved out so far. For my mental health a week before, at a family gathering, he suggested that I should help pay off the loan as they know I've been saving since I started working, and I've saved a lot. As a family, I need to take responsibility. They kept asking me how much I have, and when I avoided answering, I snapped and said, I'm not going to tell them, and whatever it is for my son's future, and I will not let it go for a house that is not even in my name. They stopped after this for 3 to 4 days with indirect passive-aggressive comments thrown in my way. I know it's a big loan, and even though my significant other never asked me for my savings, I know he is under a lot of stress to pay it off. Now PG and my mother-in-law are hounding me again, saying how could I do this to my significant other when I know he needs help paying it off and how cruel I'm being by refusing. Am I the a-hole if I refuse to give up all of my savings to pay off this loan when my name is not even on the deed of ownership? Not the a-hole. They didn't include you on the deeds. So it isn't your loan or property. If they wanted you to contribute towards it, they should have included you in the first place, or by making efforts to have you at it and take it over if that's something you want. But they are not. They just want the money. Also, your significant other should have your back and not be letting his family hound you the way they have been. Neither should he have gotten himself in a situation where you were excluded so blatantly. Surely it would have been wiser to have your own place together in your own names. Sorry to say that I think your significant other needs to grow a backbone as far as his family are concerned. You really need to consult an attorney or a financial specialist who can help you find ways to protect your savings, like starting a trust or something. And it doesn't sound like your significant other is in your corner and is sharing private information with his family. Not the a-hole. This is insane. I would absolutely not pay and I would not move there. If significant other wants to live with his family, he can move there on his own. They are manipulative and horrible people. This whole family dynamic is beyond unhealthy. They are trying to cage you in with them again. If your significant other doesn't want to see that, it's on him. Let him be the one responsible for the mess he created. Consult a lawyer and go no contact with them. Your husband should go no contact with them as well, to be honest. Not the whole. Pay on nothing that you can't control. They don't like you, and your significant other can't or won't stand up for you. They will take your money and your son and kick you to the curb. This will be a nightmare. You will not have any say in raising your child or children. Keep your money and raise your son. Let significant other sell the house he never let you be a part of. If father-in-law's name stays on the house, don't pay a cent. Tell mother-in-law and sister-in-law to take a flying leap. They are not getting a cent. Also, your significant other needs to grow a pair. He went behind your back to do this, and now his family thinks you're only family when they need your money. Your name isn't even on the deed. If they're willing to kick father-in-law from the deed and have your name on the deed, I'd consider it. But seriously, if your significant other didn't want to be in a hole like this, he should have probably discussed things with you first. Stand your ground. You have your son's future to think about. Asterisk, asterisk, update. Asterisk, asterisk, am I the a-hole for refusing to give significant other my savings to pay off the loan? It's been almost a month since I shared my problem here, and so many kind Redditors gave me helpful advice. So much has happened since. I didn't want to face my problems, and frankly, I was too afraid of consequences if I did. I didn't think I had it in me to stand up for myself, but thank you guys, you helped me so much. Now for the update. I'm happy to share with you guys that everything is going great for my family. I got excellent financial advice from a lawyer, as you suggested. I have secured my financial and made a trust fund for my son. After my last update, my husband didn't contact me for a whole week. He showed up at my parents' with a lawyer and papers for the property he bought with my father-in-law. Turns out, my father-in-law emptied all of his retirement fund to help my brother-in-law. In our culture, son takes all responsibility and care in old age of parents, and as my brother-in-law is not capable to provide, my husband basically blackmailed my father-in-law that if he didn't transfer ownership rights to husband alone, he won't support his old age care. Not Prouder approved the tactic, but father-in-law otherwise would not have conceded. He asked me what I want to do with it. Do I want it on my name or do I want to sell it? We decided to sell the house. The lawyer ensured that the house would sell smoothly without any problems from anyone claiming wrongdoings or fraud. Husband and I are going to couples therapy and it's going great. He realized his actions have hurt me. He loves me and my son and is willing to do everything to rectify our current situation and have my trust back. His words, I'm going with the flow right now. I've made it clear that I won't tolerate anything now. He also went no contact with his family. The house sold so quickly as it was prime property. He paid all of the loan he had, and we still have a sufficient amount to buy a new house in the city we live in. I refused to move back to the rental. Petty, I know, so he shifted with me to my parents' house. We have bought a house, and it will take 6 months for renovation and such, but we will be living in our house in no time. Yay! After finding out my house got sold, my in-law started harassing me on social media, on the phone, and even came to my parents' house. We blocked everyone and went no contact with his family. My brother is handling the in-laws. Thank you, everyone, for both their guidance and criticism. We won't be here without it and are grateful for it. Did your father-in-law contribute to the down payment or mortgage payments for the house at all? If he did, then it seems like a dick move to sell it and not give him any money. No, he didn't put down a single penny. He provided financial support to my brother-in-law, but not for my husband. My husband took a loan for it, and he paid the down payment and mortgage. I'm glad things are getting better, and I truly hope your marriage works out. Just one thing, you mentioned going to counseling, but I would add that if you do not have a prenup protecting you, I would insist on getting a post-nuptial agreement before going forward. Yeah, thank you for suggesting that. We have already talked about it, and he actually wants to do that. We're still in the process of correcting some of our poor decisions. I find it hard to believe that 30 days was sufficient time to blackmail father-in-law, transfer full ownership to your husband, sell that house, and buy a new house. I don't know how much time it takes where you live, but we sold the house to a friend who is in the real estate business. It was a prime property since my husband bought it last year. They were having offers for it for some time. That's why it sold quickly. As for buying our house, as I told in my original post, we were searching for houses before March 2020. We had some 5 listed, and 2 of them were still available. We put the down payment and started renovations. It will take up to 6 months to complete. Then we will shift. Right now, we're living with my parents. As to how my husband convinced father-in-law and how much time did he take, I don't know, I don't care. I'm just happy that they're not going to mess up my family again. Next story. Am I the a-hole for calling my coworker a 30-something creep still living with his parents? I, 26 female, broke up with my abusive boyfriend almost a year ago. I'm going to therapy, taking meds to treat my depression, and oh boy, I feel I'm flourishing. I have a coworker, Mike, 34, who has always had a crush on me. I always rejected him as I was in a relationship. By the time my relationship was about to end, almost everybody in our office knew something was deeply wrong with my boyfriend, and everybody cherished it when we finally broke up. I guess Mike thought this was the right moment to get close to me. I told him no because I wanted to be alone to heal. He said that he wanted us to be just friends. I said, okay. Mike is known for being a nice guy, and I think everybody in the office was shipping us. A few months ago, Mike asked me again to go on a date, and I agreed. We were going to dinner and then to his place to play a board game we are both fond of. Dinner was awkward, there was no chemistry, and Mike only talked about how I was finally doing the right thing by dating him. When we went to his place, where he lives with his parents, both his parents were there. He introduced me to his parents like his girlfriend. His mom started to ask me if I can cook because Mike likes to eat well. Then she commented on how messy Mike was and that I needed to be fast at cleaning because Mike wouldn't vacuum to save his life. Then she sort of mentioned how sad it must be to have to leave my job when we settle down and have kids. Honestly, everything was so bizarre. When his parents left us alone, I told him, "What the hell?" And he told me his parents were old-fashioned, but they're good people. After that, I asked for a bathroom, and he told me to use the one in his room. Weird, but okay. I opened the bathroom door back just to walk in on Mike sitting in his underwear on his bed. It was too much, and I freaked out. He tried to kiss me, and when I kicked him, he told me he was sorry that he misunderstood my signals. I left and told him to never ask me out again. I started ignoring him altogether at work, but through a friend, I learned he has been bad-mouthing me, calling me a weird, crazy one, and telling how he was nothing but good to me. He introduced me to his parents, how he helped me with my mental health issues, but it seems I just like men that treat me like crap. Days ago, all my coworkers, including Mike and I, were hanging out after work, and someone brought up the Mike and I dating topic. Mike said we didn't work because he was not my type, and everybody supported him, clapped back on his back and said how nice he was. I lost it and told him the reason we didn't work, because he was a 30-something creep living with his parents that thinks too highly of himself, and left. Everybody in the office seems to think I'm the a-hole and a crazy one. Even my friend says that while it's true, I shouldn't have said it in front of everyone. Edit. By the way, I don't think there's something inherently wrong with living with your parents, but by the chat with his parents, it's clear that this dude doesn't have any basic living skills. His mom cooks, cleans, and does his laundry for him. Not the a-hole. You should tell the others what you have mentioned in your post. If they don't see the point or agree with you, then they just suck, and there's nothing you can do. Besides, I feel like even if you two got together, your relationship would definitely not last due to his parents' problematic neglect of teaching him basic life skills. There's nothing wrong with living with your parents in your 30s, but the way he handled the rejection and the date says all you need to know about him. It only makes you seem like an a-hole because of the way you said the last bit. If you had changed the dialogue and explained why it actually didn't go well, your coworkers would most likely change their minds. Not the a-hole, but you shouldn't have said your issue was that he lived with his parents. The issue was that he stripped to his underwear when you just went to the bathroom, after a dinner with no chemistry, and after his parents told you you should plan to be his Stepford wife. Not the ego, but you do have bad timing. If you were going to tell your coworkers that Mike was a creep, which is basically your prerogative after the nightmare date, you probably should have done it sooner. Doing it months later, right at a time when your coworkers are reassuring him, was bound to make for an awkward moment and likely to make your coworkers take his side. I understand you thinking he's a creep and even telling others so, but why do you do it right then? Because when people asked me about the date or why we stopped dating, I was too embarrassed to say the truth. I just went through an abusive relationship that left me in a bad place. I was ashamed to admit how terribly wrong the date was, especially because everybody thinks Mike is such a nice guy. I just said things didn't work between us. It wasn't too long ago that I learned how Mike twisted everything. Seeing everybody reassuring him just infuriated me. Not the a-hole. You need to clarify with your work colleagues. I was trying to protect him by not mentioning this, but he seems unable to let it go. I went to the bathroom to urinate. When I walked out, he was half naked on his bed. He tried to kiss me without permission, and I had to physically push him away to protect myself. Your choice if you want to be this blunt. This was highly inappropriate, and I felt very uncomfortable. I don't want to speak about this ever again. I just want to do my job. Short, direct sentences. Pause between each sentence with direct eye contact. If someone tries to interrupt you, then hold up your hand in a stop motion and say, "I'm not done." If they try to argue at all, "Yes, I've heard my story." Then broken record, "I'm not interested in pursuing a romantic relationship and will not discuss this further." Then flip the switch and begin casually discussing a work or generic matter in a friendly tone. "So where did you say those files are?" Or did you end up going to that concert? Over and over again until they stop asking. The switch to a friendly tone will allow you to set boundaries and hopefully preserve your working relationships with your colleagues.